The Pod Files, Tuesday, 5th of September 2023. After a couple of weeks off work, as well as being off sick earlier in the year, I've got so far behind on my listening. Doing the show Pods Like Us does mean listening to a lot of shows, but it's interesting to listen to all sorts of shows that look at all kinds of subjects in different ways. There are different production values as well. Although I will say that no matter what level of production you're using, the content is what's important. If your content isn't there, then neither will the audience be. A turd dressed up in a tutu is still a turd. I finally caught up with the episodes of Daily Dad Jokes, although come Thursday when I'm back at work, that will no doubt change, because Graham does special bonus episodes for special days. And boy, there are special days for all sorts of stuff. International Love Your Brother Day, for instance. Isn't that covered already by their birthday and Christmas? Why can't a day just be a day? Hey, that's me grumbling, which brings me to the fact that I've listened to some Grumble Goat again. Most recently, I listened to an episode from June where Matt moaned about barbecue flavoured potato chips. Crisps to us in the UK, because chips to us are fries over there. It can get complicated with the language thing, but I'll just quote John Anna from the great Mummy films, don't mention the third one, by saying Americans. Matt's gripe is that you wouldn't dip potato chips into a barbecue sauce, so why make them that flavour? Hey, horses for courses, I say. I wonder what he would make of lamb and mint flavour. Could he use lamb and mint as a transition? Lamb is a creature. Lamb is a creature. And Tracy Nowell's sees Book sometimes talking about strange creatures like cryptids, the Loch Ness Monster, and Bigfoot. Hey, as tenuous as it is, it's a transition. I'll take it. The latest episode of Pods Like Us to go out is my chat with Vuk about the show Tracing Owls, which turned into a discussion about so much more. I can't believe the places we went to, which for some reason included me talking about my own psychology, as if anybody's interested. I've listened to episodes of Bad Counsel, Punky Radio, The Mind Buzz, and other shows I've not listened to for such a long time. It's been fun. New shows are being listened to as well, such as The Rise of King Asilas, an audio drama about the USA being ruled by monarchy after the events of a civil war. Why on earth the US would ever want to go back to a monarchy after leaving being ruled by monarchy from the UK, I don't know. I mean, you know, they had a good escape there. Why go back to it? Lauren Shipman's latest audio drama, Break a Whiskey, is fascinating. There are so many questions from me, such as my question of if it is based in a post-apocalyptic dystopian tale. Try saying that if you've had a few. As with her great work on shows such as The Bright Sessions and Bridgewater, it's fascinating and incredibly creative. We hear a character on a CB radio portrayed by Shipman herself, trying to talk to anyone left out there after an event that's not discussed. She just calls it the event. Sean's show, Review It Yourself, has really hit its stride and has been at that level for quite a while, if I'm being honest. The last couple of days or so saw me listening to 2 episodes. The first was a great discussion with Bill from Bill Reads Bad Reviews, where they look at the film The Parent Trap, starring Lindsay Lohan, with her father being portrayed by Dennis Quaid, which fits with their self-imposed Quaidathon. The other is an episode where he was joined by my much better half, Louise, to look at the Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock starring film The Lake House. Sean wasn't a fan of the film, which both myself and Louise are. Going back to Bill from Bill Reads Bad Reviews, he's presently on an hiatus from the show and on a road trip with his wife, Madison, who is the lovely lady behind The Fit Flamingo. Missing you, Bill. Come back soon, buddy. Speaking of viewing, I will go on a tangent and say that season 3 of Only Murders in the Building is superb. A step up from season 2, although episode 6 was a bit of a stopgap, though, to my mind. It's not put a downer on it, but it's a bit of a slower one that could have been trimmed. Just nothing seemed to really make any difference in the episode as to the story. Perhaps it's just me. Going back to review it itself for a quick mention, me and Louise are recording with Sean on Wednesday, which we did, to discuss an 80s classic where the producer stepped in to star as a last-minute thing and has since become an iconic star in their own right. It was a fun episode, by the way. We enjoyed it. Deleted saves saw Phil, or sees Phil getting into his stride with the show, which I'm happy to say is full of honesty. He tells it like it is without pandering to the official line on occasion, where if he thinks something is shit, he'll just tell you that. Most entertainment is a matter of opinion. Some people think things are seen as crap are actually great, and vice versa. Neon Shadows is just getting better the more I listen to it. Oh, this is an audio drama, by the way. There's no transition there. So Neon Shadows is getting better the more I listen to it, with its detective noir approach married to the weird, supernatural, cool. Well done, Ian Knowles. I don't know if I've mentioned the slowdown from American public media before, but the way that poet Major Jackson introduces poems by other people and then reads those poems is a lovely, relaxed show to chill to. It's almost like the sort of thing that you'd listen to on a Sunday afternoon, chilling, with tea and cake. Very English of me. Ice-T's Daily Game is a superb short show where Ice gives us a favourite life tip and describes it. I listened to the introductory episode of Digging in the Dome after being asked to check them out by Planet X Network, who Pods Like Us is now an affiliate of. I have no idea how the affiliation works, but I don't have to pay any money out for it, so what could possibly go wrong? Digging in the Dome sounded great. Another show where they talk about anything at all. Now, I went to sleep after this, and we're going on to what I carried on writing on Wednesday, the 6th of September. Yeah, continued from yesterday as I had to sleep. The book realm is back after DL Bester has been busy with life stuff. To be honest, I think I should take a leaf out of her book because I am a presenter on 3 different shows now, 2 of which I'm a co-host for, and that's when we're being out for around 75 hours per week for work. It's a lot of hours. Anyway, welcome back to the Pod World, DL. I had a quick DM chat with Chris from Real Film Reviewed, where I found out about a different feed for the show, which is why I wasn't getting any updates. He also now does Chris of All Trades, where he looks at something different each episode to get the sitch of it. See me getting down with the words there, sitch, to get the gist of it, what it's about, all that crap. I noticed a new celebrity-related podcast that is available called Strike Force 5, where Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver and Seth Meyers have a chat together. I listened to the trailer, of course. I'll give a full episode a listen to see what it's like. I'll probably get stuck on it again and keep listening to it. Sandy Kay's show, A Breath of Fresh Air, saw Sandy having a great chat with singer-songwriter Kenny Loggins. Man, if you hear that, you will find out loads of stuff he's done behind the scenes with other artists. Face the Music, an Electric Light Orchestra song-by-song podcast, sees the Erics, Win Sensen and Eric Paul Johnson, continue to work their way through the world of Electric Light Orchestra, now looking at songs by bands from before the group existed, featuring people who would be in the band, such as The Idol Race and The Move. Bloody hell, Marv, that grammar is terrible. I wonder if Denny and the Diplomats released anything, since their drummer was Bev Bevan. I was at one point thinking of doing a show with Ethan Alexanian where we were going to talk about bands and music from Birmingham from the 60s, but it never happened. The latest episode of Stu World Order saw Stu being joined by wrestler Tyler Breeze to look at the Lori Petty story Tank Girl, which I've never seen. I was surprised by Stu having changed the theme music at both ends, which completely destroys something I did when he recorded with me and Louise, as that music won't be the same when that episode comes out. Yeah, we finished the recording, and while it was still recording, I did the theme tune or variation of it at the end. And so since that theme tune at the end is finished, that bit no longer works. An episode of Science Diction gave us the history of where the word dinosaur came from. Indeed. Fascinating. Oh, gone back to this one. During Sean's chat with Bill on Review It Yourself, they discussed jet lag, which as a shift worker, I'm not sure if I would suffer from, even though I have no idea what it is. I haven't been on a plane since I was 5 years old. The episode of The Bones Booth from October of 2020 saw them looking at episode 3 of season 1 of Bones, a show that both Louise and I loved when it was first shown, and we are now rewatching steadily. I would really love to chat with these guys at some point. There's a few people I'd like to chat with, actually. The episode of The Mind Bus from June 27th, 2023 saw Gil and Amber chatting with Britannia Murillo, who is behind Chicano, or is it Chicano Hollywood Musica, that celebrates Chicano music and culture. Everything Everywhere Daily from August the 2nd, 2020 saw Gary looking at the infamous Brown M&M story about Van Halen, which was a real story. They placed a clause in their concert contract to have M&Ms in a bowl in their changing rooms with all brown M&Ms removed, as it was a way to prove that the entire contract had been taken notice of, so technical issues were less likely. Going off the written thing here, but it makes sense, because that way the idea is that if they go into that back room and they see that brown M&Ms are still there, in there with all the others, then they know that the contract hasn't been fulfilled 100%. So then they go out and they test all of the equipment. That means that it will take longer and they'll be later on to stage because all the equipment needs checking before they go on stage. So that's why they do it, is because they had an instant where it didn't happen. They decided to go on stage thinking it was all right. And I think there was an accident or something based on equipment that was faulty because they'd not done the checks according to the contractual agreement. Episode 96 of Vintage Rock Pod saw Paul chatting with the great Francis Rossi of Status Quo, a band who have sold more than 100 million records. Francis's story about why they didn't try to break the US was really interesting and understandable. It's the amount of time that you have to give to it, essentially. And if you give that much time to it, then you give less time to all the rest of the world where they were popular, like in the Far East, in the UK, Europe, and Australasia. So if they'd have given 8 months of a year for a few years to America, they might have had problems with all the rest of the world that they got popularity in. So essentially, it was just a decision of, do you know what? We're happy with what we've got. We don't want to damage what we've got. So America, if we hit it from just, bits and bobs that are going on over there with records, we'll go over there and play gigs. But if nothing happens, then we won't go over there, or we will, but not to that sort of degree. And it makes sense. Other shows we listened to, of course, such as the Mastercast, Nothing But Nursing, Aaron Mankey's Cabinet of Curiosities, and so much more. Thanks for listening.